Hello. Making a turquoise clay video in the greenhouse, and it is absolutely lovely. The sun shining low now and brilliant and orange, and it's gorgeous. I made two videos that I uploaded to my other channel, which has the name Animal Lovers Support Group Kenny Redwood. And so if you like to, you can also check that channel out. I make the same type of videos there, but I also make videos on the other tablet which is connected to that channel. I make videos of going to other places, going to the other house and traveling and stuff like this. So that might have some more interesting sightseeing and places for people. So on this channel here, I only use this here, domestic. This is my domestic tablet. So yeah, we went to the other house. I made these two videos there about dreams and nightmares. I had two nightmares lately, one just recently at the other house and one at Bog Hot Springs. And the one at Bog Hot Springs, that was really shocking, that one. And particularly the way I was screaming, it sounded like a ringer. Really strange. I don't know whether that was Paul's imagination or that is what he was dreaming as I was screaming in my dream. And he was, sometimes the brain associates these kind of things. Or whether I actually made a ringing sound, like an alarm ringer or something. Very strange. So, yeah. Very interesting thoughts on dreams. On the other channel, I uploaded them there today. I'm uploading the second part right now on the other channel. So I'm taking now the time to make another video for this channel before the sun goes down. And it's nice and relaxing, and it's spa time again. Netting spa time. Very nice. Nice and relaxing. I want to make my videos relaxing if possible. Unless I get very passionate about something, I might get a little louder, which I try to avoid. I don't want to do that anymore. So, and I also don't want to necessarily make it sad and crying and all of this. But I can't suppress those things. So I flow with the emotions. Yeah. The anger, that's something for a primal room to deal with introspectively and safely towards the other beings. You know, you're not force other beings to have to listen to your screams, or you know, some people throw things, so it's better not to act any of those kind of emotions out around other beings. So it's good to take that into the bedroom or into the primal room, and you can hit the mattress or a padded wall and scream into the pillow or something, or a soundproof room. But as Thich Nhat Hanh said, we should not be deliberately putting ourselves into that state, or we shouldn't be staying in that state. So that's very, Arthur Janov also recognized that it's not good to stay in that state. Some people kind of stay in that state, and it's, again, can actually be an escape from the stuff that's really going on underneath, and that is where we need to get to. Sometimes we are in such an overload or so triggered that it is important that it's important not to skip that step. So it has to be one, the more experienced we become with ourselves and with our own escape mechanisms, then we can detect which one is which one is the escape mechanism. Anger as an escape mechanism. We see this in the world all the time. So, or whether the anger is bypassed, you can't get to anything that is underneath anything if you skip or try to skip or bypass the one that is above. So we can only take one step at a time into the rabbit hole or into the depths of introspection. So we can't be sort of light beaming ourselves all the way to the core of the earth or the core of our psychology unless we go through one step, one layer at a time. We have to go through every layer first. That's the proper way of doing it. That is also going with the flow of it, to take one layer at a time, peel one layer of deception off at the time. It's too difficult to peel 10 layers at once. You go through this gradually. Some people build this up for a very long time. We're not in a rush now to lift it all at once, and it's not possible to lift it all at once. We can only do this incrementally. Incremental work on ourselves. Very, very important. One layer at a time. And the nightmares, they are part of all of this. They are part of it. Where we want to get to ultimately, but again, gradual process is the very sorrow underneath, is the ultimate sadness. It is the, a realization such as she's never gonna love me no matter how hard I try. So in regards to our mothers or parents or friends or whoever, but particularly the mother that is the main figure in our lives. The realization she's never gonna love me. I realize now one thing is with my mother and my personal situation, my mother will always be triggered by me, okay? There may be love, there is some love, okay? She has love in her and she has love for me. But she will always get triggered. And in the moment she's triggered, that covers up the love. That trigger point, that anger or that hurt or the projection, the insinuation, or just me being, my existence being a trigger for her. So it has nothing to do with me as a person and everything to do with her. But for a child, that's a devastating thing, because the child, what comes across to the child is she doesn't love me and she will never love me. Okay? And the child, being in an act out, will try anything she or he can to make mama love them. So they will stand on their heads, bend over backwards, get diplomas, work 24 hours a day, get very little sleep, whatever people do to make the mother finally show appreciation, and it's never gonna happen because it's not about you, it's about them, it's about the mothers, it's about their pain. If they're being triggered by their child, then they have some major issues, okay, to deal with. They should deal with it, they should introspect. But again, you cannot force them to. You can only make a decision in your life. You can say, oh, I'm hitting a dead-end street here. My mother is never going to appreciate me because for whatever reason, it doesn't even matter what the reason is. But I understand the reason though. She's in pain, emotional pain. I feel compassion for her. I wish her the very best. I pray for her to my blue God that she can heal this, or she can be relieved from the pressure, from the pain, okay? And one way of relieving her from the pressure is by me removing myself from her life. Okay. Not through suicide, then I put more of a burden on her. No. More guilt compounded on top of the pain when everything is unconscious underneath. So, no, but again, everyone makes the decision themselves. Whether that's going to be hard on someone else or not is secondary. Everyone makes that decision for themselves, whether they want to exit or not. But I'm just saying it's not going to make anyone see anything if we exit. So it's just going to make them, put them in more pain, and they'll act out even more. So because then it's like the rest of their lives dabbling with this feeling of having failed and all of this, which my mother has said several times that she failed, but she said it in a way of like she's stomping her foot on the ground, like, have I failed you? Or it's kind of like blaming us for it, That's what the ego always does, like a temper tantrum. So it's not an introspection. It's not like I have failed them, how horrible. No, it's like, okay, I give it to you, I failed. That's not introspection. Okay? So I know all these tricks the ego plays. So when it doesn't work because the mother has too much sorrow and is too unconscious and acts out and gets triggered all the time, then we have to leave. And we have to move on with our lives. And we have to make the best of our lives and not expect anything anymore from her. Just move on. You make the best out of your life. You love yourself. Whatever, whether your mother couldn't love you or not, you have to love yourself. I kissed my left wrist because I had carpal tunnel in that left wrist in 2011, I think it was. I lifted up Paul's king size bed, and it's like, ouch. I couldn't move my arm for a whole month. It was so painful. Even moving the tip of my little finger was so painful in here that it was all inflamed. I didn't go to the doctor because I already knew the doctor wouldn't be able to do anything for it. They can give me anti-inflammatory drugs, which is really bad. The body needs to create an the inflammation's there to kill any kind of germ and to do the natural healing process. The body says, now it's time to heal this, don't move it. So if we take drugs, then we move it anyway, and it can even cause long-term damage. But because this had been so damaged, and I had been under pressure from Paul doing something that I can't, I'm not a strong man. I look like a strong construction worker, sort of, like the Michelin tire man. Yeah. But it is misleading because underneath the fat and all of this is still a woman skeleton, and the woman skeleton is not as burly as the male skeleton. So, and the ligaments and all of this, and just the frame is not as strong and sturdy as in men. And Paul thinks because he's so much shorter and skinnier than I am, he thinks that I'm this big, burly Michelin tire man who can carry everything. And then I let him pressure me, and that was really, really bad. So I had to pay the price. And I learned my lesson from that. I need to listen to my body and my body's needs. When I see that this container or this thing there or metal piece is just too heavy for me, then I have to say, I'm sorry, but it's too heavy. And he can scream and get mad at me all he wants. And he can make accusations, insinuations, and blame all he wants. He can call me uncaring, he can call me lazy. I don't care. I'm paying attention to my body. So, and that's the lesson we need to learn. That's the hard school. That's the Petrosius Zwackelmann school, where we have to learn from within ourselves. We learn in a reverse way from our sorcerer or whatever, in that fairy tale. From our heart teacher. Paul is my heart teacher. A soft teacher is someone who works with you and who's supportive, who makes you feel safe to learn. The heart teacher can be anything. The heart teacher can be a situation. The heart teacher can be a hard table with a hard corner. The heart teacher can be Petrosius Zwackelmann or a sorcerer. Someone who is mean. It's like a reverse type of learning. Like I learned from mistakes. I learned that what I learned from him is that I don't want a teacher like this anymore. It's sort of, I don't know when this school is finally over with. When I don't know when the sorcerer takes a break from his meanness or heals, which I don't think he's gonna do. He's not gonna introspect. But, he's still light years better than my mother, so. And light years better than most men out there. Sorry, I don't say this in a judgmental way, it's just that I cannot work with most men out there. So at least Paul cares. He cares about things. I know he cares about me. I know he does. But there's a lot of acting out in him going on. A lot of not taking responsibility for his actions, but rather always making someone else at fault. He does it with everyone, so it's not just against me. It's a pattern. It's not easy to deal with someone like this, but that's what most people do in general. But he does it in a controlling way and regimented, kind of like a cop. So a lot of lashing out in accusation, but not much recognition and introspection going on. So very difficult. But you know, another man would have that and much worse. So I'm not judging. It's just that's how it is. This is the reality of things. Listening to Jiddu Krishnamurti and Dr. David Bohm. Oh, this is Dr. Alan W. Anderson at California State University in San Diego, 1975, I think. So it switches from one video to another, and then this one is a little louder than the other one, but it's okay. This is a very important one here on love and pleasure. Most people confuse love with pleasure. The love industry. When love and truth, love is about compassion. That's what a lot of people don't understand. So, but my husband Paul does understand that one. That's the most important thing for me. That's more important than anything else. So. But anyway, I feel, I feel like I have to kiss my wrist because I had injured it before. So when I go shopping, sometimes I get people to have very negative thoughts. It doesn't happen very often. Usually people ignore me, but sometimes I get someone staring at me and having real negative thoughts against me, like where my very existence is a huge trigger. And when that happens, there's a coldness from that person. And even though I know it's their pain and all of this, it's still coldness that comes towards me, and it hurts. So I stand there in the aisle looking at the groceries like this. People probably thinking, why is she doing it? Kissing my wrist. Because no one else is giving me comfort, so I have to do this myself. It sounds a little bit whiny and all of this, and it is loaded with self-pity, and it's okay to have self-pity sometimes, but it's a fact, like all of this. And we have to provide for ourselves. We cannot be leaning on other people all the time, because if we lean on other people, we become dependent on someone else, then it's pretty risky and dangerous if that other person is suddenly not able to give that help or comfort to us. So we have to create. It's always good to lean on someone, it feels good, but we should not be forgetting to provide for ourselves at the same time. So we need to always be the mental rock in the surf for ourselves. That's very, very important. It's a very important step. Is this taking this responsibility for ourselves. And then we don't have to feel entitlement anymore. Then when someone is nice to us, it's a present from the infinite cosmos. Just as everything good is a present from the infinite cosmos. And I learned in my life, particularly in this rocky, hard life with Paul, in this austere, almost self-flagellating, like survival training, hardship, freezing, rough life that he has given, provided for me. Because, I mean, he doesn't know better. He has severe, fear of spending too much money and all of this, and making us work, or himself work, 10 times harder than he should. It's all out of fear. It's fear-based. There's a tension and fear behind this. It doesn't even pay off in any way. Sometimes I somehow get the chance to fight through my solutions for things, and then he'll go, how did you know that this is going to work? Well, I just know intuitively. Sometimes I can't explain it scientifically why this would work out better than the other thing that he suggested. So I said, listen more to me. Listen more, because I have very strong intuitions about things. If we get to a fork road, I know just intuitively I go this way instead of that way. That doesn't mean I do everything right, but the most of those decisions that I make based on intuition, really listening to the infinite cosmos and into myself, that's the right path to take. Much more potent to listen to oneself than to go by what someone else says, based on hearsay, based on science or something. Science isn't always on top of everything. Science is good, important, but it's not always, doesn't always have the last explanation for everything. There is no last explanation for everything. Things keep flowing forward, and they are fluid. Things in the infinite cosmos are fluid. They are not stagnated. They are not fixated in concrete. Even laws, even physics laws, are not fixated in concrete. They can go this far, but then it starts to fade into something else. Existence is in a flux, is in a state of constant movement and change and development. And materials being in a flow of things. It doesn't seem like it, but it is. Flows slower than water. This greenhouse, the wall from it, this PVC, whatever. It is in a flux, but it flows much slower than water. But eventually it's gonna dissolve as well. It's gonna merge with something else chemically. Physics laws fade out. They fizzle out, sizzle out at some point. Time is not a constant. Nothing is a constant. There is no such thing as linearity. Everything is in a flux and in constant karmic movement, cause and effect. Causes that we don't foresee. My dad, he said something very important. He said, I know things look grim, with global warming and all of these things, and overpopulation, it's grim. But eventually, there may be something popping up out of seemingly nowhere. There's no such thing as nowhere, but it's to us, you know, could be like something completely unexpected that will come out to rescue us all. And it's often something that people have interpreted a danger into. Like, oh, the AGIs, you know, what people are afraid of. They're afraid that the AGIs will make humans obsolete and they'll exterminate us and so on. I don't see why they should. I mean, they're gonna exterminate the psychopath. But why should they exterminate the peaceful pet humans? Maybe peaceful pet humans. If we behave ourselves, we do have a chance, right? And that is the Deus ex machina that is gonna happen eventually. So in this video, it's already halfway in, I want to talk a little bit about the nightmares, and I want to talk about our trip to Nevada and particularly the drive back. The drive back. Paul, again, in his constant fear, constantly trying to control everything, said, no, we can't stay another day because what if the weather changes? We need to get over the mountain passes. So even though he doesn't like to drive at night, he finally ended up driving at night. So then we went all the way to Klamath Falls, and then we were looking for a hot spring there. We couldn't find it. And then he said, so let's just keep going. No, I said, it's going to get dark. You can't drive in the dark. Well, we need to get going. I think we have enough time. I said, okay, all right. But I was a little worried. But we went, as we were going over those mountain passes and all of this, I was constantly praying to the blue God. We went through 3 mountain ranges. The first one was the scariest one. First one out there in the Nevada desert. That was really, 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 really stunningly beautiful and scary at the same time, because there was absolutely no protection on the side. I mean, someone who's drunk can really drive over that cliff and go down for hundreds and hundreds of feet into the valley. And it looked like you're in an airplane looking out. It is so incredibly stunning. And he was looking around, and I said, you cannot be looking. You have to. I was driving through that on the way to the hot springs, and I was scared, but I did not get distracted. When I drive, I only look at the street in front of me. And he was driving through that on the way back, and he was looking around, all mesmerized with the beauty. And I said, you cannot afford to look anywhere else. And suddenly there was this huge rock in the middle of the road, and I grabbed his shirt like this, and I said, there's a rock in the road, you better pay attention right now. Oh my gosh. And he just swerved slightly around it in the nick of time. That rock, we were like in airplane heights, so if it could have been 1 or 2 seconds, him not seeing it and then driving over the rock and then having punctured tires or being hurled off the cliff. So I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of seconds. I was so infinitely grateful to the infinite cosmos, the blue God. Blue God protected us. And so that was very, very scary. And then the second mountain range was also scary. And it started to rain a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. And then the third mountain range, the sun was going down, and I was so scared. And I saw the blue God in dog form, the blue God eye, the way I always molded with clay and painted. The blue God in dog form and the blue God in human form. With that very eye, this rectangular eye, like this. This eye, 2 times, like here's another eye, appearing in the clouds, and they were on the same level. Blue God looking at us and saying, "Don't worry, I have my eyes on you." And this didn't only happen one time. It happened like 3 times in completely different places on the horizon, that these exact eyes of the blue God appeared right above the horizon, fading out in the clouds, in cloud formations, and in different colors. The eyes appeared in different colors, and in blue, in white, in orange, in different places, in different completely new cloud formations. It reappeared. So that's why I knew for sure the blue God was keeping his eye on us. And it was amazing. And I'm so infinitely grateful. I'm so infinitely grateful to the blue God to protect us and look over us. Very important video. Very important. Love is compassion. And when we have compassion, we act on cosmic intelligence. That means we are going inwardly. We're introspection. We're going through introspection. We're introspecting. It's a journey within, and it is It is not looking at other people anymore for information or for approval or for how do they do it. I better do it like they do it or something. No, not anymore. Compassion is inwardness, and it is infinite sincerity, seriousness. Compassion is seriousness. It's not joking around or being distracted or something. Or fun, having experiences. Whatever people use as experience, roller coasters or enlightenment experiences. It's all about, that's all about them. It's all about their fun or their grandeur or their experience. It's not about sincerity. Sincerity is compassion, is love. That's inwardness. It's a journey within. Not looking out anymore for other people. Reality shows what they do, whether this is accepted or not. But infinite cosmic intelligence is when we tap into the infinite cosmos, and that doesn't depend on our IQ. I see dogs do it. Dogs are quite intelligent. Also, some are also quite cognitively intelligent. But that's not what it's required. To tap into the infinite cosmos that runs on a completely different frequency. And the nightmares that I have, when we have nightmares or these kind of things coming up, also in meditation, something scary coming up, a scary thought or memory or childhood pain, or suddenly a real scary thing. And people think, oh, it's the meditation, that's not good for me. No. And then they think, oh, I better turn the radio on and distract myself. No. No. The scary thought or dream has something to say to us. It opens us up again. It loosens up the grip. Okay. During the day we have kind of like, with the wake consciousness, we have a bit of a lock, not just a bit, quite a bit of a lock on childhood pain. We have locked it away. This lock, this grip loosens up when we go to sleep. It also loosens up through hallucinogenic drugs. And the hallucinogenic drugs, they're way too dangerous. They're way too dangerous for people. They're not ready for that. That's what I said earlier. You cannot skip any steps, so we have to go through this very gradually, one sediment layer after the other, working one out, going to the next. can't dive all the way in. That's what the hallucinogenic plants are doing. They plunge people into it, and they're not prepared for it. It has caused people to die or become permanently deranged. And many are now on SSI and governmental help, and they can't take care of themselves anymore. And then they go to religion because they think that's the only thing that can save them. It's not. It's just they reverted right back to the neurosis and 10 times worse. So that is what we need to free ourselves from, see? From that neurotic, from this same childhood pain pattern now projected into a man-made God, into a figure of imagination, a projection of childhood into an authoritative dad, authoritarian dad, into a regimented, threatening dad. Okay, that's what they flee into, and they fled into worse neurosis than ever before even. That's what religion does. So we need to free ourselves from all of this. We need to free ourselves from